Hey everyone, I'm Kunaal Bajwa.
And I'm Lance Jordan.
We are two nerds who decided to start a podcast in 2020 due to the pandemic. No topic is necessarily off the table, and we'd like you to join us in hearing our thoughts on various topics, ranging from anime to Zeppelins. We have it all. Here we go.
So we're back. This is the first time we're just the two of us.
Yeah,
no guests in a while.
I missed you, man. It's not been the same.
Yeah. So, just us.
We've had a lot of guests, and I thought it was time to get back to the basics, get back to the beards. Both of us have beards right now.
Right. Going for the evil Kunaal look. glorious evil Kunaal.
Evil Kunaal might be here to stay.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is there some mischief that you need to...
There will be
complete.
There will be a lot of tomfoolery and mischief that is afoot. I will say that.
Well, I want to say 2021. We're here. Kunaal has some big things planned, like he had planned last year that he slipped under the radar.
You will never forgive me for that, will you?
It was surprising to hear about.
The thing is, like, I feel like as...
Well, for context, tell them what you did.
Yeah, so we'll put this in the show notes for sure. But I did a presentation on martial arts in the military, and it combined a lot of things for me, for my love of history, for my love of martial arts. And I knew a contact, shout out to Fran. She's another great person who works with the Soldiers Memorial History Museum, and they were like, hey, you should come up and do a project for us. And I was like, fantastic. And I was initially doing it to see if I wanted to go to grad school. And, it was one way to kind of do more projects and stuff. And I did it, and I love it, and I want to do more presentations. But I don't want to go to grad school. I'm kind of content, just researching topics and kind of going from there and talking about it. And yeah. So that's kind of like a weight off my shoulders to do that. So that's been cool.
Okay. If you could propose anything right now, what would you, propose and do a presentation on?
Yeah, I would probably like to do a presentation on going deeper into some of the topics I glazed over, because there's a huge part of the Philippines in World War II. Like there's a story that I mentioned in the presentation. It's on YouTube, and so it's free to watch and everything. But like stories of who are known as the Hukbala Hops. So there's many different factions. Ones that worked for the Philippines, one that worked with the Americans, one that worked for the Japanese, and they were basically guerrilla forces that utilized politically, ground force wise, all of the above. And specifically, I knew of someone whose uncle or granduncle was in that conflict, and let's just say he would hide on trees because the Japanese would kill soldiers. This was in the Philippines in the Death March, and so they would throw dead bodies on trees as a way of warding off people. So he would pretend to be one of those dead bodies, wait for a Japanese patrol to come by, and then kill everybody there. Yeah. Apparently, he was a very interesting old man, to the point of having a number of guns in his car when he came to the States. He lived a life in the States as well. So very interesting guy. There's random stories like that. There's stories of the special forces going into Filipino villages, meeting these people and being like, yeah, kind of trying to big dog them at the same time. And they're like, well, yeah, if you can find us when we're sleeping, then you win, or something like that. It was a weird kind of story. And the next day they wake up and it's like, oh, it looks like you guys didn't find us or didn't accomplish the task. And the Hukbala Hops are like, look at the bottom of your feet. And they're like, what are you talking about? And they look at the bottom of their feet and it's painted yellow. So that means that they actually snuck into where they were sleeping, found where they were sleeping, and then had the chance to kill them but didn't. That's how good they were. This is American Special Forces that they went against. So of course we were like, please come and join us and teach us after that. And so after that, they came and it's super integrated into our military and everything. So, yeah, I would dive deeper into that. I would have to do a ton more research and talk to descendants of those people too. So,
okay, brief history lesson.
Yeah, we can cut that down later if it's too much.
No, it's fine.
All right. But yeah, how you been, man? I missed you.
I've been good. I'm excited
Yeah?
There is a new Godzilla movie coming out.
Right. That's right.
Godzilla versus King Kong.
That's right. You could say it's a rumble in the jungle that is planet Earth.
Maybe. I don't know. But I'm excited for it. I like big monster movies. So that had me excited. Well, I guess last week. We're recording this on a Sunday.
Yeah.
What else has been going on? We have a new president.
That's right.
So
it's I could breathe easier.
You can breathe easier.
Yeah, breathe easier. I know he's not my favorite choice, but
yeah,
he's horribly better than the other choice. Yeah.
Who was a better choice?
I mean, out of the two that we got, I was okay with Biden because it was just easier, and he might be an adult that doesn't do things that I necessarily 100% agree with, but he's an adult who's in the highest chain of government at this point, or in the highest position of government, as opposed to a child who just plays golf all the time.
Was he good at golf? Do we know?
I have no idea. I guarantee you he wasn't.
I just want to know his record.
He probably paid someone off to change the scores.
To change the scores. I feel like if you spend all that time doing something, you have to be good at it, right?
I'm not holding my breath for it. So.
All right. Fine. No, not giving Trump any credit on this podcast.
When are you going to give Trump credit?
What am I giving him credit for? He released Kodak Black. That was something. And Lil Wayne.
Oh, that's right. You mean the pardons?
Yeah, he was pardoning rappers like hotcakes.
That was...
Like, you get a pardon. You get a pardon.
And you get a pardon? And you get a pardon? So, check under your seat and you get a pardon?
He didn't pardon Joe Exotica, though. So
yeah. I don't know who that is.
The dude from Tiger King? You don't watch Tiger King last year?
No, I refused.
You refused to watch Tiger King?
I refused to watch Tiger King because I've seen white people do enough dumb shit in my life. So, yeah.
Listen. Just go watch
I love white people. Don't get me wrong. But I don't want to pay. Like I was like, I can be more productive than watch this stupid show.
Do you have a Netflix account?
I very much have a Netflix account.
All right, so this is what you do. You go on there, you go to Tiger King, and you watch the first episode, and I guarantee you will get all the information you really need.
I mean, I know the premise because everyone told me about it.
But you gotta watch it. You gotta watch how wild this man is. And it's like, it continues building. Like, as soon as you think, oh, this shit can't get any more crazier. And then it gets crazier. That's Tiger King.
That's what I've heard. And yeah, I just chose not to because I was like, no.
No, he's like, there's like handicapped zoo workers with guns, and
he's having a 3-way marriage of coked up couple.
He's coking out straight men and turning them out, and
and then apparently that bored in Florida. So, or was it Florida?
No, not in Florida. Somebody else was in Florida. I think it was
Carol.
Carol in Florida. I think Carol was in Florida.
Carol's on Cameo, by the way.
Is she on Cameo?
Yeah, it's really wild. I did a cameo. I paid for a cameo for one of my friends, and then did one for myself. And both times she showed up as like the one of the top choices. I don't know how much you have to pay for a personalized message, but yeah, she showed up there, and I'm like, why is she here?
So what is Cameo?
Basically, Cameos like any celebrity that's done any kind of work. So like voice actor, there's a ton of WWE guys on there, and from old TV shows, this and that, and they'll do a personalized message for X amount of dollars, and it ranges from like $5 to $1,000. Yeah, and you tell them what you want, what you would like, and actually call out to the last episode. Aditya got me this wonderful cameo about 1.5 years ago, and he got Dante Bosco, who played Zuko. He got him to wish me a Merry Christmas. It was a personalized message. I still have it. Thank you, Aditya. Shout out on this podcast again. Yeah, so I had that done, and then I had one done from recently. I didn't tell you this, but there's a character from one of the Star Trek Next Generation episodes called Simon Tarsus. One of my favorite episodes, season 4. It's called The Drumhead. It's an inquiry on a sabotage that just happened in the Enterprise. There's this huge explosion, and they found a Klingon officer that has done something nefarious, and they're trying to get him to confess. He does. Then they try to find the people around him, and they find this one guy, and he doesn't have anything that necessarily shows up as wrong, but the way he reacts at the hearing is very suspicious, and it kind of becomes a witch hunt from there. It's like, why is this suspicious? And then it just devolves into chaos, and it's a great episode of how Picard has, tells everyone, like, we are getting way too caught up in this witch hunt. We need to stop. Mm-hmm. And Simon Tarsus is played, he's a character he's an act that you see in a lot of other TV shows and movies. He has like something like 200 credits. And basically I got this really heartfelt message back from him saying, I've done all these credits, but everyone asks me about the drumhead. And I was very surprised because I thought I was the only weird guy that saw him in that show. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was great. Spencer Garrett. And that wasn't too expensive. That was about $70. So, okay. Yeah.
Do you think we're famous enough to do cameos?
I mean, hell, I'm ready to do a cameo. You tell me when. All right. That's legit. We'll do it for you.
What is the They Need a Hobby podcast charging for their cameo appearance?
We'll start low. We'll do $5. It's a pandemic.
$5.
Yeah.
All right. We can rock with that.
Yeah, we'll start with there.
We'll start with $5.
Yeah. By the way, guys, we're shooting from the hip today. We're just chilling and catching up.
So what else been going on, man?
What else has been going on? Keeping with resolutions.
Okay. What was your resolution? You still make resolutions?
Of a sort.
Okay.
Of a sort, yeah. I take inventory of how the last year went and what I need to change. Mm-hmm. Just to avoid getting injured all the time. Do more yoga, do more mobility exercises. And make it short, make it quick. Because otherwise I think everything's going to take like 3 hours. Mm-hmm. It's just a weird mental block. And so I was like, okay, 20 minutes on this, 20 minutes on that. Finish the workout in an hour. Time my things a little more. Squeaky, time to tighten the wheel. So that's what I'm doing.
Okay. I think with 2020, I was already kind of against New Year's resolutions because I never really keep them. But I think if 2020 taught us anything,
yeah,
it was that you can't make a plan for this thing called life sometimes.
That is 100% true.
Yeah. So I'm just going in it with an open mind, no expectations or very low expectations. Because I used to say, if you go into a situation with low expectations, you'll be surprised.
That's actually 100% true. And if you do that, then you're not as disappointed.
That's right.
Yeah, this is 100% true.
But I guess you're living with like really low standards.
Yeah,
really low.
That is also another argument too. But what I'm also doing is just building enough of what I've done before. Mm. So I've already got some good healthy habits going on. I want to just add 1 or 2 more.
Yeah.
Because people end up adding like 10 and then falling short.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm doing.
I think if I track back to one of our other podcasts, one of our biggest podcasts, where we had Ben on, and he was talking about that mindset. Mm-hmm. Like that's like the big thing, especially for, people trying to lose weight or like work out.
Right.
So that's what I'm really kind of focusing on now. It's like just getting the mindset, because I'm finding out there's a lot of things you can control if you just like, I won't say block it out, but talk yourself down from it.
Yeah.
Like
accept that it's there.
Yeah, like,
and then be like, I don't need that right now.
Exactly. Like, just because there's a soda machine in your building doesn't mean that you have to go get a soda.
You don't have to. You can bring your water bottle or get 1 soda a week or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Or just talk to yourself like, how is it going to benefit me in this moment? Or do I really need it? And I found that actually has been working. Cause,
that's awesome, man.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. I mean, you're my buddy. I'm going to encourage you. Why?
But, I think the discouraging thing is, though, results aren't immediate.
They take time.
Yeah, so.
They do, yeah. And, weighing yourself every morning can be good and bad, depending on how you work it. But, yeah, it's also super hard. Like, everything around us is just, like, geared towards, like, hey, have some more food. You're still hungry? Have some more food.
Yeah.
Like, even a small is a huge portion. And I think Ben said it to me once. He's like, willpower is bullshit. But habits make the change.
Yeah.
Habits are like, willpower is a muscle. It just reminds me of in the martial arts community that I'm in, we had some guest speakers show up on Zoom just to like kind of keep morale up. And we had a Navy SEAL, former Navy SEAL that was in the group. And I was expecting him to be like, this roided out dude who was like, get tough, be tough now, be awesome. Super nonchalant guy, down to earth, intelligent. And he said something really, really cool. He's like, willpower is like a muscle. It'll get worn out. What really gets you through to your goals is imagination, which I thought was really, really interesting.
Yeah.
And, you said keep on reading, keep on doing things that'll keep you sharp. But it wasn't in an aggressive, like, you got to do this and roid up and everything. Like, it was very just like, this is sustainable. Do that.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
And I take from, like, that imagination, like, with me right now, I'm trying to, like, build up cardio. So I'm, like, doing a lot of, like, treadmill walks and jogs and stuff.
Yeah.
But, that whole process can get, like, boring and kind of tedious. Like,
my God, yeah.
You're just like, I'm going to be on a treadmill. How do I, like, use my imagination to make it more interesting? Or what can I do to make it more interesting? So I found that, like, putting on a different playlist, like you said, with, like, techno music was one of your things. Yeah. But, like, doing different playlists, maybe listen to a podcast one day.
You can guess what playlist I have on there, so.
Oh, what?
You can guess. Go ahead and guess.
Wait, I'm missing it. Is it K-pop? Are you a K-pop fan?
I've heard a couple songs. I'm not a huge K-pop. I have other friends who are huge K-pops. No, I put on the Yakuza theme songs, and I go from there.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Anyway.
And that's all for today, folks.
Right. Mess up a beautiful thing. But how is that game?
The 7?
Yeah.
Like the new one? It's great. Like, I don't like the turn-based combat, but the story's awesome. And that's why I play those series, is because the story's great. I'm going to probably go back and play like Yakuza 0, and just because it's just such a fun brawler. I hope that they kind of return somewhat to the brawler format. Otherwise, the turn-based kind of thing is just kind of annoying and takes time. But, if you like the turn-based combat and a good story set in Japan, I say go for it.
Okay. Maybe it was just something different they did for that game.
Yeah.
To kind of like experiment a little bit.
Which I'm fine with. It's been a series that's been going on for like 10 or 15 years at this point. So, yeah.
Yeah, it has been around for a long time.
Mm-hmm. But back to doing things on the treadmill. Like, do you know the comedian Godfrey?
No.
You probably saw a picture of him. You probably remember him. There's a sketch he did years and years ago where it's like, want to get in shape, but too bored to go to the gym or run the treadmill.
Yeah.
He's like a 6'4" black dude, so he's like, just let me chase you. And so like the entire video is him just chasing white women.
Wow.
And it's like they finish up and he goes, he's like, oh, good job today. He's like, oh, thanks, Godfrey. See you later. And there's other ones. There's other ones I've seen that are similar, but I just went through my head of saying when you said you had to keep things interesting.
Not that interesting. I don't think society today would allow for such shenanigans.
No, I think they get arrested right off the bat. But
if I were chasing around white women in the West End, that would look bad. That look bad.
I'll chase them with you. It's all good.
People might ask what is going on here, but
we want to interview you on our podcast.
Right. Our successful podcast.
That's right. Hey, we've got some good fans, some steadfast fans.
Yeah, some steady fans.
Yeah. What are you watching these days, man?
One thing I know we both have been getting into, and we've been talking about it, Demon Hunter.
Hell yeah.
I mean, not Demon Hunter. Why did I say Demon? Demon Slayer.
Well, I mean, he hunts demons.
He does hunt demons.
So you're not wrong.
One particular demon he is hunting.
That's right, Michael Jackson.
He does look like Michael Jackson.
He does. There's no way he doesn't, man. And like the way his hair is, and he's wearing a damn fedora. Like, how is he not Michael Jackson? So the big bad is a demon that's Michael Jackson.
Yeah,
Looks like
Keith.
Yeah,
I'm gonna fuck it up. But
yeah, it's something like that.
If you're an anime fan, you know what we're talking about. If you watch the show.
And yeah, it's a good show. They do a good job of combining lightheartedness with dark material.
Yeah,
and it's interesting. There, like you had a good point about it when we were talking earlier.
Oh yeah, the pacing. So, and I think it goes with today's society because actually this anime, well, it was a manga before, but the mangas have been around for a long time before they actually made it an anime.
You're much more of a manga guy than I am.
Oh, well, there you go. But but with it, it's like it isn't like One Piece or like Naruto that's like arc upon arc and upon arc, like just keep building. Oh, where God. Demon Slayer is like it's a 26 episode series
so far, at least.
Yeah. And I think they might cap it off there. They might expand on it, but it's 26 episodes. It's one movie so far that released.
Right, and that's been doing great.
Yeah.
I've heard nothing but good things about it.
I think it's like one of the #1 movies in Japan.
Yeah, this past year or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like no wasted movements in these episodes. It's like everything kind of leads to the next thing smoothly. I'm at a part right now where they're kind of building on the supporting cast. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the characters you kind of see in like the little promo art and clips, you kind of get introduced to them, and it's interesting takes. But then I can see where like they kind of borrow from other characters in like shonen animes.
Yeah, I mean I see a lot of Naruto. What I've seen of Naruto show up in the show. I see some Kenshin, Rurouni Kenshin.
Yeah, I see some Rurouni Kenshin,
especially when like he's practicing with the bokken and his sword and everything. I've actually, those drills are real. Like that is actually a real drill.
Is it?
Yeah, it works your upper shoulder like scapular muscles, so you get like an easier cut. That's what I've done. So
yeah. I see some Inuyasha in it.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. Now that you mention it, yeah. How did I not see that?
Yeah, I think it kind of maybe a little bit hard with like demon shows to like make it 100% different. But what I will say, like a weird comparison to, is JoJo.
Oh yeah,
and it's really just the art style. Because for me, I feel like looking at these mangas,
yeah,
they're kind of like monotone colored.
For Demon Slayer?
Like in the on the cover arts.
Oh, okay.
It's like monotone colors. It's not really bright and vibrant. But then like when they decided to make the anime for these shows, it's like super bright and super colorful.
Over the top kind of
stuff. Yeah, and it makes it actually really cool to me. Like the main character is like water sword, like how that water pops out and then like the colors just pop out on screen.
It really does. That's probably why I like it whenever he does his water forms or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
They just really pop. So I really like the art style in this anime.
Yeah, and in JoJo's, it's always like the creeping font that comes over when you least expect it and everything. But the colors in that show are super vibrant as well.
Yeah. But if you like go back and look at like the mangas, like the cover art, just like the cover art, because obviously like manga is like black and white.
Yeah.
But like if you look at the cover art, they're like these monotone colors, and you wouldn't think it's like as colorful as the anime makes it out to be.
So it's a huge contrast whenever you go back to go to the screen. That's cool.
So you can kind of like, my feeling is you can kind of see how dark these mangas are because of those like colors. But then like when you watching these animes, it's like kind of the opposite. Like you kind of get like this feeling of hope and cheer and happiness.
And then it's quickly brought away.
Yeah, like it's super dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one show I'm really enjoying right now. What else am I watching? What are you watching?
I'm watching Schitts Creek.
Oh, yeah.
And when I first started watching it, I didn't think it was that funny. Like,
really?
Like the first season was a drag for me. And then the second season, I was like, okay, it's just rich people complaining. I can go for free and elsewhere and look this up. Like, this is fine. But then the second season hit me, and especially when they talk about their relationships and everything, I was like, oh, wow, this is really good. This is really, really heartfelt and really fucking funny.
Maybe it's like The Office in a way. Because I felt that way about The Office.
It moves quicker than The Office.
Yeah, I agree to that.
It moves quicker than The Office. I like the pacing of it, and when they started getting deeper into, like, specifically the episode that goes in my head is when Alexis is like, she's talking to her mom. She's like, Mom, how come we never do anything? So she actually like brings notes to the lunch that they were going to do. He's like, ask her questions about what her favorite color is, or what kind of shows she likes, what kind of food she enjoys. And she's like, Mom, you brought notes to this meeting. And so then they have a heart-to-heart where they're like, yeah, how come you never wanted to do anything with me? And Moira goes, I thought you didn't want to, so I never did. And it was just a really like honest, thoughtful part. And the best part about that is how they zing you with like one-liners in that show when you least expect it. So Alexis, after that heartfelt discussion, goes like, okay, well, what's your favorite season? And Moira goes, awards. So that's, I love that show. Yeah.
It is a good show. What I meant with the whole Office thing is just like, I was like not a fan of The Office. Like first season, it was funny, but it wasn't like, I just didn't see the hype of it.
It was drier than the skin on my elbows, essentially. Yeah.
Damn, I would wow. But
is that too much?
I was like, damn. Tell us how you really feel. But yeah, like no, but that's a really good show.
Yeah.
I was surprised. Like someone actually introduced me to it, and I was surprised how much I actually. Like liked it when I saw the first episode, and then like the son is just so he makes the show for me. He's like really his attitude and just his demeanor. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's I've since seen a bunch of clips from that show, and I have friends who are very, very, very much into that show. I have family members that are into that show. In fact, one of my cousins loves The Office so much she's seen it 4 times. When she won a debate tournament, I got her the Dundee Award, and I've never seen her happier. I love you, Maya. And so, yeah, as I've been watching like on YouTube and stuff for like Office clips and stuff, I find myself laughing hysterically because there's so many parts that I've enjoyed, but you have to sit through a lot of dead space for it. And that's the thing that kills me about The Office. I'm like, can we get to it already? Like I'm more than happy to sit for good jokes, and I have the patience, but The Office I feel just drags. It's like what we do in the shadows. Gregor, how are you this evening? Guillermo, do this. It's when they're all vampires and they're living in America.
Have I seen that?
You might have seen a clip of it. It's on FX.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and it's very funny. It's very well written, but I'm just like sitting there as the episodes go on and they're just dragging. And I'm like, can we pick up the pace here, Patrice? Let's keep on going or something.
What's the comedy you like?
It's a comedy I like. Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec. Isn't Parks and Rec and The Office are like...
They're similar.
Yeah.
They're similar, but it doesn't drag as much as The Office. It's a little quicker than The Office. They aren't in the building all the time. They move around a lot, so it's like, okay, we're moving around a little bit. I like Schitts Creek, so like,
okay,
now I do.
Did you ever used to like that 70s show? Or
I always found Fez's character to be racist, but then I just let it go. But I loved the parts where like they would be around in the basement and they just go like take the camera to each person.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite parts.
Okay. Well, I mean, it was the 90s. Everybody was racist.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone was, unfortunately. We're not racist now.
Sometimes. We're not, we can't be gender phobes or sexist.
What are you trying to say?
I don't know. It seems like we're getting away from, well, I just saw the thing about Family Guy, like they're not making gay jokes anymore. And
yeah,
I'm not saying they should, but then I feel a certain way that you're like
inhibiting some things.
Yeah, because it's like you're saying it's okay to make jokes about everybody else,
right?
But this one group of people.
Well, they got canceled like at least twice for anti-Semitism, just making fun of Jews.
No, I didn't know.
It was very early on. I remember my brother was really into it at that time. It's weird because I see on Saturday Night Live and they make fun of Jewish people all the time, and no one bats an eyelash. For me, it's a couple things. It's how you do the joke. It's do you do it with intelligence or do you just say terrible things? Right. I see people who like go up there and say terrible things, and I'm like, why is everyone calling them a genius? They just got up on the stage and said terrible things. They were just an asshole. I can do that for free.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to pay anybody to do that. It's like, oh, they're a genius. They're mind-blowing. I'm like, they're not. And sometimes I feel it's just done to be a shock value. Because, like, I love Dave Chappelle. I grew up on Chappelle's show. I'm rich, bitch. Like, every day. But whenever I hear him, like, and I think I may have mentioned this earlier, but whenever he says, like, oh, yeah, and that calls Ellen DeGeneres, like, he's like, oh, yeah, and that dyke Ellen DeGeneres. And I'm like, I don't know what you're trying to do with this. Like, I don't
know where that was.
I don't know where we're going.
What was intended.
And he's gotten heat for being anti-queer and stuff in the past. His points of white males co-opting the queer movement, I would probably agree with that. Sometimes when I see that in comedy, I'm like, they're not intelligent for doing this. They're just mean. So
yeah.
So for me, getting back to my original point, we've become wiser at the risk of becoming weaker. And that's the hard part because, like, I think they've asked Mel Brooks, who has definitely pushed the envelope on a lot of things if you watch his movies, but it was done in an intelligent way that was still somewhat caring. They asked him, like, what would you do? Like, when is your next movie? They asked him that. And he's like, hell no, I'm not making a movie now. It's like, 1, I'm 94. 2, everyone's too sensitive now. Nothing would ever happen. And I've been watching, like, I'll watch Spaceballs or Men in Tights, and I'm like, I kind of see his point. And I love those movies. Those movies are like heaven on DVD. That's how much I love them. The pendulum has swung in one direction so far that we're getting lost in terminology, different types of identities and everything that are important. Don't get me wrong, but we're getting so stuck in it and oversensitive to the point where we can't even have discussions about it. But thanks for letting me talk about that.
No worries. Yeah, I think I just feel like where we're gonna slip up is when we close the door for dialogue.
I agree
on certain things. You know, with you earlier today, like I'll say it, like,
yeah, go for it. You please. Yeah.
You know, you brought out this pork, and I was, not to be racist or asshole, but I was like, I didn't think you ate pork. And that's just one of those things where, like, say I never asked that question, or I would just always live with the assumption that you never ate pork until one day, we're out at this restaurant and the waitress is like, the pork is really good, and I'll just slap her because I'm like, he doesn't eat pork, you mean lady.
I don't think it's wrong to have, well, first off, I appreciate the support.
Because I'm probably going to jail after that slap.
Well, I'll bail you out. It's all good. I don't think having the assumption is bad. I don't think having the knowledge that, a lot of Indian people don't have beef or pork, depending on what their religious background is. I don't think that's a bad thing. And it could be just the fact of, like, saying, oh, I didn't know you have pork. And maybe you go, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the end of it. You don't have to be, like, so taboo. I had people in college that were like, oh my gosh, do you eat meat? I'm like, I love meat. It's great. I go to Korean barbecue whenever I used to. And it's very hard because, like, you'll meet people who are also of those faiths and they don't really mind having alcohol. They don't really mind having certain types of food that were deemed unkosher or unhalal. So you kind of have to go with the context that's there. And I don't think it's a problem. You make it casual. You don't make it a huge deal. I think it'd be easier.
I think it's like, it's easy for us to be like, you and me, we can have this conversation, but then, like,
we're established friends.
Say, like, let's take it a step further. Let's say you posted, like, oh, I'm about to cook this today, this pork. And then I had commented, oh, I didn't know you ate pork. And then somebody else may chime in to where now whatever I said, like, to you is now a bigger issue. And now they're taking it as their problem. Right. And they're trying to
a whole deal.
Yeah.
But no, that's totally true. Like, it's like, hey, it's cool. He just asked a question.
Right.
He was just getting a clarification. He wasn't being an asshole. It's easier when you're established friends, like the two of us, but it's harder when you're just meeting people off the top. Like, I remember once I posted something that George Takei, by the way, even if you're not a Star Trek fan or any of the above, like, it's the best page on Facebook to follow because it'll just make you laugh and brighten your day. hello, friends. And so basically, he put up this one thing about it was a bumper sticker that was just kind of funny. And I posted it, and it was very queer friendly, and so people were liking it. And someone I knew commented and was asking a question, and then their relative chimed in and said, like, was basically saying that was basically calling gay people insane. And I'm like, I did not mean for this to go there. I was just putting up a funny sticker.
Yeah.
And then I had 6 people that chimed in and gave these like dissertations on Christianity, queer rights, queer understanding. And initially, like the first person that commented that was purely just asking a question got his answer and actually was fine. The one that his relative that commented later on was like just went quiet.
Yeah.
So, because he was like, I think he felt he was outnumbered at that point. But
yeah.
I was like, yeah, that can totally happen where it's just taken out of proportion. I was like, we were just putting up a meme. Not a big deal here.
Right.
Yeah.
But no, everybody's taking things personal.
Yeah.
We are a software generation now.
In some ways, yeah. In some, like, for years, I think that's the result of years of not talking about problems that were going on. And so now we're having this big explosion because of the internet. I mean, 10 years ago, I was watching, did you ever watch the G4 sketches? Splinter Cell agents Bob and Steve.
Oh, yeah.
The secret agents of Bob and Steve. And they're trying to save the world one mistake at a time. And it was hilarious. I went and watched it recently. I was still laughing. But then they say stuff in there. I was like, oh yeah, quit being a retard and everything. And I'm like, gasp. We cannot. You can't do that now.
Yeah, you can't use it.
No. And I think that's a good thing because they never had that kind of voice before where it was like, oh, mentally challenged people are important. They live lives just like everyone else.
Yeah.
And so the dialogue keeps on changing. Like even now, if you say people of color, now they're saying BIPOC, Black, Indigenous people of color.
What?
Yeah. See, there's new terms all the time.
I don't think I like that. Don't call me
I don't I don't know if I'm a huge fan of it either, but
cause now you're just, I don't know.
Segregating it further, I guess.
I don't know if it's segregating because it's like you're trying to lump it all together, and I don't know. It's weird to me.
Delve into that. I want to hear more.
So what is it? Say it again.
BIPOC, Black, Indigenous people of color. BIPOC. It's a mouthful.
And who did that all entail? Black people?
Indigenous, so Native Americans, anyone who was not just in North America, but like, and then other indigenous populations that have been oppressed and not given a voice as such.
But then I feel like you're oppressing us by lumping us all together because everybody's experience is different.
That's 100%.
I think when you lump Native Americans in with African Americans, then you're going to minimize.
You're oversimplifying.
Yeah, you're oversimplifying, and then you're minimizing what they've been through. Well, you're just going to be like, we all been through the same struggles, which is not true. It's just not true.
Yeah, I agree with that because it's unfair and it's not giving the story full exposure. The context is not fully there.
Yeah.
And it's not negating any hardships that they are going through, but it's not telling the truth of it either.
Right.
There's so Jordan Klepper has his own show he's one of the Daily Show correspondents. He had his own show and then they got canceled and then they brought him back in a different way. And he went and interviewed a bunch of Native Indigenous peoples. And it was a great episode because initially you think that the Daily Show would go on knowing exactly what to say. But there was actually a number of points where, one point in particular where they like basically corrected the Daily Show, which I don't see happen too often. And the person they're talking to, I forget his name. He goes, it's like, I don't even like being called Native American. He's like, or being asked to answer for Native Americans. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, there's over 100 and like plus different tribes. I don't feel confident representing any of them, let alone the tribe I come from. I was like, oh my gosh, that's something we don't consider at all.
Yeah.
Like it's not just Native Americans. There's a ton of different remaining tribes that are existent in the country.
Yeah.
And they just got representation a little bit more this past presidency. With Biden, I think in the Santa Fe Council, they have someone there. Their name's starts with a D. I can see her face, but I forgot her name. Go look it up. And so like it's progress in one way, but I told you that just reminds me of that episode. Go check it out.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I get that we all have to be defined by like certain characteristics, right? But then like you kind of lose the individual sometimes. Like if I just categorize you as an Indian male, then I'm not getting
not the feather.
Right. So I'm not getting to know Kunaal, like what makes Kunaal, unique. And you are American at the end of the day.
I really am.
But
it's interesting.
We have to put a stamp on you're American, like Indian American. You know what I'm saying?
It's like I have 5 different titles. I'm first generation Indian American, but not the feather on the dot. And then am I Asian American? Am I brown?
Right.
And I fall into I'm a very diverse minority that happens in the year.
Mm-hmm.
It's very weird because I had a Canadian friend in college, and he's like, it's very weird. He's like, what are you talking about? He's like, it's very weird how you guys call people African Americans, Indian Americans, Asian Americans. Like I go to Canada, we're just Canadians. Sure, we're of this descent and that descent, but we're still Canadians. Like they don't refer to people as Asian Canadians or something like that.
Black Canadian, yeah.
Black Canadians. No. You might I may have heard Black Canadians.
I mean, but I feel like that's an American term. You know what I mean? Like I feel like only Americans will be like, oh, Drake is a Black Canadian. Right. Like where I feel like
that's what his point was.
Yeah.
He was very confused by that. He's like, we don't really distinguish it like that. We just call them Canadians. Like, sure, they're Asian descent or something, but they're Canadians at the end of the day.
Yeah. Like, I wonder if their job applications he'd have.
If they even have that.
Like, are you black, white, other?
I gotta tell you, that reminds me of a story. So it's hard enough whenever I get those intake forms, and it's like, are you Asian, Pacific Islander, or Middle Eastern? And I'm like, I'm not Pacific Islander. I'm not Middle Eastern, but I don't know if I'm Asian. There was this one time I was filling out an intake form, and I did it in front of my dad. And my dad, and I was about to walk away or something, and my dad goes, "What is this?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "Kunaal, I don't understand this." I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "First of all, why are you watching the Goku all the time?" And I was like, "You mean anime?" He's like, "Yeah, all that stuff." He's like, "You're not Asian." And I was like, "Dad, didn't you emigrate from India? Like, how did this?" So it's everyone's different perspective on that things, but that's just a weird, funny story. I never forget.
And then I would wonder too if like say a different Indian American, well, let's say like someone from India, right, who got over here, became an American citizen, would they be like as comfortable with you? Not saying that you're not Indian American, but like you using that term when like maybe they feel closer to their culture, or they had like different, you know what I'm saying, like a upbringing where
yeah, it's interesting because every time I go to India, they keep on telling me how American I am.
Yeah,
but when I'm in America, everyone tells me like, "Oh my gosh, you're so Indian."
Right.
And I don't know if it's just a St. Louis thing or what, because I think it is. I've gone to other big cities, and I'm not a big deal when it comes to that.
St. Louis is like a weird place where we always categorize
by high school.
We're obsessed with high school, and I remember like talking to girls and like dating girls that aren't from here, and they're like,
weirded
you
out
guys are obsessed with like what high school you went to.
We have something called a St. Louis-gasm that I like to call. Basically, you find out what high school they go to, and one or two things happen. For me, the second thing wouldn't happen, but what they are is like, one's like you guys become immediately closer, or two, you just don't talk to each other.
Right.
Typically, the first would happen for me, where I would just say, I wouldn't tell people where I went to high school, because immediately there was a ton of stereotypes that went with it.
Yeah.
I would actually tell people like a year or two into my friendship with them, or me knowing them, that I went to Chaminade.
Yeah.
Because I've had multiple times people like look at me immediately and go, "You went to Chaminade?" I'm like, "Yeah, I went to Chaminade." He's like, "Oh my gosh, I would have never spoken to you." And I was like, "Oh, okay, fantastic."
Yeah, like there's a whole set of characteristics that go with a person that went to Chaminade.
And the sad part is when they're accurate.
Yeah, but
it's a stereotype like anything else. Like, it's accurate and it's also inaccurate and unfair at the same time.
It's a very interesting thing we do here.
Yeah.
Where I don't know what's up with the high school, and then also too, by like, or at least in the black culture, is like what area you grew up in. Like, I guess, if you're in this area, you're tougher than the guy that's in
U City.
Yeah. So like, oh, you just from U City, that's not as tough as like the city or like
North County
or South Side or
That's something I didn't know.
Yeah, so you gotta be careful. Rep your hood.
That's right. My hood of Chesterfield.
down
in the burbs, man. It's hard life out there.
They're gonna be like, "You're lost, son. Go home."
I don't miss Chesterfield at all.
You don't?
No. There's nothing to do there, man. It's like 30 minutes to do anything.
Oh, they're building up Chesterfield
now, but when we were growing up, there was nothing there.
Oh, well,
the valley was helpful, but like it was stupid to meet most of my friends and do most of the things. I was like, I don't want to live in West County anymore. This is terrible.
Well, now Chesterfield got 2 outlet malls.
That's right.
Top Golf.
They heard I was leaving, and then, and they're like, "Oh, it's safe now. We can do this."
Man, their Target is top notch.
The one in the valley?
What, in Chesterfield?
Yeah.
I don't know anything top notch than the one I got. So
okay.
And the Walmart. Don't get me started on the Walmart.
Customer service is a lot better out there.
Yeah, that's what I was explaining to somebody. Like, it was like a conversation about Schnucks. Because I live in North County, and I'm like, I refuse to go to the Schnucks that is the closest to my house. Like, literally, like, 5-minute drive away.
Yeah.
I cannot go there. I have to go to the one over by our former gym.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Clayton Road.
That is a nice Schnucks, though.
I love that Schnucks.
That Schnucks is pretty delightful. When I lived in U City, same thing.
Yeah.
I was like, it's closer, but I'm not going to the one in U City.
No.
Even when I wore my Street Fighter t-shirt and the security guard was like, "Oh, Street Fighter, nice, man." I was like, even after meeting that nice guy, still not going to that Schnucks, man.
It's something about like you said, customer service and just the presentation. I don't know. I can't get over it. I have the same issue with like McDonald's. It's like there's one like literally up the street from my house. Like I could walk there and be there in like 20 seconds. But
it's the ambiance.
After going in there, seeing fights, having horrible service, I'm like, nope, I will go out of my way
to not go there.
Yeah, to not go there.
And I'm glad I'm not the only one who thinks like that, because I feel really racist whenever I think that.
It only depends if there's a lot of black people in the Kunaal. I can't be racist.
Like, I don't know. It kind of goes through my head. It's like there's the CVS that's down the street from here. Yeah. Literally, I just spoke to someone and he was held up at gunpoint and mugged last week. And at that CVS. And yeah, at that CVS. And I was like, okay, that place was always kind of shady in the first place.
You start seeing the imperfection of the place.
And yeah.
Like, okay, yeah. That explains that.
Yeah.
That's great. All right. Go through some hot topics. Well, let's talk about this real quick, because I was like kind of over it, really.
I'm kind of over it too, but we can talk about it.
The white people.
Which one?
The ones that went into the White House.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that we're covering this last, but
yeah.
But yeah, we can do it. I was very shocked, but also at the same time, I had this weird optimism about it.
Mm-hmm.
Hear me out. There's no coming back from this. And as we've seen in the past month, it's been used as an example for so many different things. We finally have an example on tape of a different type of treatment from police to white people. There's this documented on tape, police taking selfies with them, police joining in with them, police being apprehensive to do anything to them.
Right.
I've never seen that before.
Right.
And so I don't know if change will come from it, but I know there's no denying the fact now.
I think what's funny is that apparently, and I could be wrong because, I didn't really look too deep into it, but the laws and the rules that they were making for the Black Lives Matter protests when they had it, those laws are applying to these guys who did their storming of the Capitol, and now they're getting hit with the charges that they made for Black Lives Matter. So I think that's interesting to me.
That is interesting.
So now they're facing some real charges, man.
Yeah, I heard a case recently that this kid turned in his dad because he was at the protest. I was like, damn. He alerted the FBI. And damn. Yeah. Well, I mean, my dad would never. My dad was actually, and he's an immigrant. He was like, this is shameful. Like, he was watching the news for 4 hours. In his own words, I was hooked.
I mean, it could be like a really hooking thing.
His words were like, never in America would I think this would happen.
Yeah. There was a part of me that was like, it still felt controlled. And what I mean is like...
I think I know what you mean. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, people did die. But it never got super crazy, or there was never like...
Not to the level of like the protests we've seen in BLM.
Yeah, like... Or like, it never got to like... When you see the videos from the other countries where mobs are grabbing like politicians and like taking them out in the street, beating them up, like I never had that feeling from it. So there was a part of me that felt like this is still a controlled environment. Like, as much as possible, it's a controlled environment.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Yeah, get those thugs off the street, man. I don't know what more to say.
I mean, they literally took shit and wrote it in the walls. You heard about that, right?
No, I didn't
Someone
hear about
took a crap in the Capitol and was starting to write stuff with their crap.
Yeah, that's a white person thing.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. I just flush and wash my hands. I don't mess with that after that.
Oh man, I kept seeing the video of the dude like climbing the wall and then falling.
They played too much Assassin's Creed is what happened. But
I just want to know. I mean, did they accomplish what they wanted to? Has anybody talked to him yet? Like the leader of this? Like,
I don't know.
Did you accomplish what you wanted?
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't really know what they were trying to do.
Like, is Trump still president? I don't know.
Yeah,
Did you
if
scare Joe Biden out of president? I don't know.
I mean, you guys didn't think the Secret Service would do anything?
Right.
Like, that was my thing as well.
Like, they're just shocked that you're arresting me? Yeah, dude, you like stole a podium.
And also, that hadn't happened for 200 years. The last time we had something happen like that was the War of 1812. That was the last time the Capitol was ever attacked. That's insane.
I mean, shout out to those white people. They wild, man. They crazy. They some wild boys. Wild boys.
Yeah, and some were from St. Louis, of course. So.
Oh yeah, obviously.
We had to mention that before anything. But let's end on a good note.
Yeah, I would like to say too, as we continue to grow this podcast, we would love to hear from you guys.
Yeah.
To help us know how to make this podcast better. What topics you would like to hear from us, and also what guests you would like to see us potentially get on the podcast, whether that be Yoni or Ben or even Kunal's brother again.
Yeah.
So, just let us know. Yeah. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter.
And we'll put those in the show notes.
Yeah, just follow us, leave a comment, DM us, and, just let us know what you want to hear.
We'd love some constructive criticism.
Yeah.
We're here for it. We just had a very down-to-earth conversation now over very, varying and I don't want to say taboo topics, but definitely topics that some people find hard to talk about.
Absolutely. But close us out, Kunaal.
Thanks for listening. Happy New Year, by the way.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Keep on keeping on.
All right.
That's right. Cool.
Hey, fan peeps. Thanks for joining. And as always, we appreciate any feedback. You can follow us on our Facebook page, They Need a Hobby. And also at TNAH Pod on Instagram and Twitter.
Hopefully one day we'll find a hobby and maybe even be one of the cool kids. Peace. That light is way too bright.
And back. I'll go back to the theme song.